facts and figures on their own have got absolutely no ability to persuade. Zero. You've got to put your information, your pitch, whatever the heck you're calling it, into the eyes and the experience of your customer. And the story is the ideal way for providing context and making it accessible to the customer. Well, what was I doing? Why does virtually every story, every fairy story around the world, in whatever language, whatever culture, start with once upon a time? What does that do? I think one or two of you mentioned it already. It's starting to transport me into a different time and place that starts to be, and I can start to establish relevance with you. I didn't make this stuff up. There's a wonderful book on this, if any of you really want to dig into it, The Pin Drop Principle by David Lewis. These are 2 or 3 professional actors who now make a very significant living teaching business executives how to tell stories and make their presentations credible. Robert Maxwell is a TV producer, and I think he put it in a great way. A story is a fact wrapped in an emotion that compels us to take action. At the end of whatever pitch you're making to an investor, to a potential partner, to a researcher, or for a grant granting application, you want them to take action, which is to support your idea. And there was a wonderful lady, unfortunately no longer with us, Angelou, one of the most beautiful poets I've ever listened to. And she said, people will forget what you said. They'll forget what you did, but they will never ever forget how you made them feel. And that is the power of storytelling. And this may sound very theoretical in terms of business people and techies, but believe you me, it works. And this is where it's important where you are in your journey right now. What people remember, it's called this primacy recency effect. They'll remember what you first told them and what you last told them. That's not to say the stuff in the middle is of absolutely no relevance or importance. Of course it is. But you've got to remember how you're going to open your pitch and how you're going to close that pitch, because those are the 2 things that people are going to remember most. I'm not going to go into the brain chemistry part of this. If you want to look into this more, there's a wonderful video on YouTube called Death by PowerPoint by David Phillips. It's about 20-23 minutes long, and it is one of the best presentations I have ever seen on presentations and the evils of PowerPoint. I remember once being at a meeting, I was doing a lot of work with one of the government agencies in Ottawa at the time, and there's some assistant deputy minister up at the front of the room with this 50-slide presentation, all in 8-point type, turning his back to us, reading it. And there was a young fellow who was the quarantine officer at Toronto International Airport, a little Irish fellow. I used to put my Irish leprechaun, Eric. And he leans over in a loud stage and he says, David, he says, did you hear? Power corrupts, but PowerPoint corrupts absolutely. And this deputy says, who said that? Eric was looking very quiet and innocent. But I say, there is some really good stuff on there, because there's now lost connection. Anyhow, enough for technology too. That's if you want to go into that a bit more deeper. Let's talk about the story. Setting the stage. That's what I did with the Once Upon a Time. You now are involved with King David and Queen Camille and this terrible daughter they had, and you know what the problem was. They got to get her married off. So in about, 5-10 seconds there, I set the stage and defined the issue for the audience. So that's your starting point in your story. And there needs to be a hook. What is going to grab that person and drag them into the story with you? What's there? You've now started to define the problem. You're getting a bit of a hook there. Here is how we're going to solve it. So that's the important point there. You're now dragging them along with you. And yes, now we get to that middle stage where you're building. And I said, this is the stuff that gets in the middle of that trough, in the middle of that beginning and ending. But it is still extremely important as to how you build towards what is obviously going to be the reveal, the solution. Here's how I'm going to take this daughter off your hands. I'm going to marry her off to my son, and they will both live happily ever after. So it's that reveal, that thing that now starts living. You solved our problem for us. But most important, at the end of that, once they've bought into that, you can see them nodding, you can see that they're leaning into you. You're going to ask for action. You're going to ask for the sale. You're going to ask for the grant. You're going to ask for whatever it is that was the original purpose of this presentation. So there's got to be a call to action at the end of this. And that's basically the power of storytelling.